The reason why I'm here is to introduce and talk to customers about this new product we just launched. So I'm just going to give you a little bit of background about myself first. I've worked for Teletrack Navman, or originally Navman, for 14 years, in the development team and then in the sales team. And what I do is I do systems integration. So what that basically means is we provide a hardware and software solution that Chris talked about before, black box, software interface. We've got a number of customers that have third-party systems in the transport industry. It could be things like freight management solutions, or it could be enterprise maintenance products. A number of different third-party products which could use data from our system, or could have data that we send from our product into that system. And what I do is integrate those together. But I also do customization products as well. This is the spot that Chris was walking on before, wasn't it? I actually thought he was going to fall through the floor at one stage. So probably the only major product you'd know about that I built myself would be the Domino's Track My Pizza product. So that uses our hardware. We provided the technology around that interface and used it with Domino's. And that integration is basically getting the order data and the driver information, and providing an experience for you if you buy a pizza to see your driver turning up to your house. And I kind of clipped it all together. But this is the new product, and I spent about 2.5 years working on this. Took me a while to get the funding, and then another 9 months, 10 months building it, and we've finally launched it, and we're really happy to be able to show it to you. So first slide is really about what FTC Manager is about, and really the core of the product itself. And really it's around trying to make your tax refunds for fuel tax as easy as possible. And we'll go into some of the core ROIs around it, or the tenets about it. But essentially it's a revolutionary way to try and rebate it back. And we've heard a lot of information from our customers and people that are interested in using it around the struggle they have to try and accurately record the fuel tax entitlement they have, but also the amount of time that they need to create those BAS claims. And also the way that you create the BAS claims and the way you prove it, you've usually got to be quite conservative about it. And I'll show you how the technology works. Essentially what we do to make the process really easy, we maximise your entitlement, and we show it so auditably and clearly that there's no argument from ATO. So from a month-by-month basis, you're always trying to get as much money back from the ATO. Who doesn't want to get as much money back from the taxman? So we've actually got class rulings in this product. We've got one that's been published. You can Google search it. We've got one that's in draft. I've just basically got to sign it off and put my name to it and say, yep, let's get it out there. And that covers off the product range that we've got. It's definitely the most comprehensive product that's out in the market, and I'll guarantee that we can claim and we can recover more money than any other product in the market. And the reason why is we built it just for our tracking unit. And how we did that is use a tax consultancy firm that we worked with and our technology to make it just work for our tracking unit. It's not a tax consultancy company that's gone and tried to get as much data as it can from whatever tracking unit or whatever source and try and make something from it. It's made just for our product. So the three core tenets is that we save money, trying to get as much money back to you as possible. And I'll show you with a case study that we've got with a customer that's in Roma, called Roma Transport, and how much money they've saved. Saves you time. The administration load, doing your BAS claims, just to put that number in field 7D of your BAS is quite a lot. And what we do is make a process where all you got to do is put your fuel transactions in and then go claim, and then you get a number. It's as easy as that. And we remove all the paperwork and guesswork, and what that's around is providing compliance. Okay, so whenever you're making a tax claim, be it payroll, be it GST, what you're trying to do is claim as much as possible, but slide it under the radar and ensure that you don't get audited. And with that, usually, if you haven't got substantial evidence to prove it, you've got to be a little bit conservative. The clarity that we've got with this product means you're always going to maximise it, and you've got no risk of it ever getting refuted, and that's backed up by the class rulings that we have. So some facts and figures. For road transport vehicles, it's above 4.5 tonnes UVM, you claim back 14 cents per litre when you're travelling on the roads. And that's just the government saying, you're a commercial business, we're going to give something back to you because you've got road transport, you're above 4.5 tonnes. Here's the business incentive. So if you're a commercial business, you can claim that back. And that's usually what people do, because it's really hard to try and claim back the 40 cents because you're off-road. And this is the road user charges portion, because you can't work out how much fuel you've burnt when you're off-road. and it's that magic that we put together with our product. So with that, for every 100 litres, you can improve your claim entitlement. For every 100 litres of fuel consumed for auxiliary or off-road travel, you can increase it and get an extra 26 bucks. And we can also do a 4-year retrospective claim based on a sample of 1 month worth of data. And if anybody has done a retrospective claim before, essentially the ATO say that if you've got a process in place but you can improve that process and you can prove it, then we can go back the last 4 years worth of fuel transactions on your fleet and recover back what you were missing, the money that you left on the table. And it's a substantial amount. And you'll see it through the case study you've got. A lot of our customers, they get such a massive lump sum back that it pays for a lot of the use of their tracking systems. So typically what we're seeing in savings is $15 to $250 a vehicle a month. The reason why the range is so high is the type of vehicle you've got and the type of use you've got. This is concrete agitators. They burn a hell of a lot of fuel and they're always off-road. Right? Light vehicles, a lot less, depends on how much time you're spending off-road. The case study we've got is Roma Transport. They go to the gas wellhead sites, they're spending a fair amount of time off-road, they're using things like cranes and tippers, they've got a bit of auxiliary use, spending a lot of time idling as well, so it's reasonably high. They're around $80, $90, we've got some that are around $15. And the amount of time you spent doing your BAS claim just to get the fuel tax entitlement, we see is around about 60 to 80 hours a year. And we're reducing that down. As I said before, processes put your fuel transactions in, press claim. That's reducing it down to essentially about an hour a year. Okay, so a bit of an overview. What are fuel tax credits? So this is the off-road portion. If you're off-road, you can claim up to 40.1 cents. It's just gone up in 1st of August, by the way. It's 40.3 now. So what can claim for that is any off-road machinery. We don't really care about it, and we don't sell FTC managed to businesses that have got off-road machinery, because if it's got off-road and you're putting fuel in it, you just claim back the 40 cents. We don't need to work out the on-road, off-road portion because it's not moving. Fuel used in auxiliary equipment, so this is things like ice boxes, it's things like cranes or PTOs. If you've got road sweepers, if you're a council, or you've got vacuum trucks, all that stuff that's used by the truck for anything that's not the purpose of travelling. Okay. Any fuel used in heavy vehicles that's not travelling on a public road. Remember, this is the road user charges portion of the excise that we're recovering back. So if you're off-road, what are you paying the tax for? Not to repair the road or maintain the road. It's a fuel that you've burnt, you've already paid tax for, you should get it back. But it's trying to work out that entitlement. And fuel used in light vehicles that's not travelling on public roads. Remember I said before, 14 cents for road transport above 4.5 tonnes, 40 cents when they're off-road. And for light vehicles, they can only claim the 40 cents when they're off-road. They don't get anything for on-road. That's the 14 cents, only for heavier vehicles. Stuff that's ineligible is essentially all aircraft. This is including things like crop dusters. You're not using the road. It's road user charges, makes sense. If you guys want to stop me, because I talk quite fast, and this presentation is usually 2 hours, so I'm burning through it. But if you want to stop me and ask me questions, because there's a lot of content with this, just stop me, okay? Feel free to ask me questions. So, this is a really interesting slide, because what we're doing here is we're showing you how you can increase your entitlement. You've got this 40 cents, you've got this 14 cents, you've got the ineligible. What we do is we shift all the light vehicles from that ineligible portion and shift it up to the 40 cent rate, because we can show you how much fuel you've been burning when you're off-road. And for the heavy transport that are claiming 14 cents, because that's typically how you do it, we're shifting everything up to the 40 cents that's off-road, plus including your idling, plus your auxiliary stuff. What usually happens with a lot of businesses, because it's too hard, they claim based on the class of the vehicle. So light vehicles, where are we? Light vehicles, can't claim anything, can't work out the off-road, I'm not going to get anything. Heavy transport, I'll get 14 cents back, at least I'm getting something back. And what we're trying to do is shift all this money up as high as possible and get you as much money back as possible. So I'm just going to jump over here and do a bit of a demo. Okay, so so this is me logged into FTC Manager. It's essentially just a URL, access it from any device. Design it with what's called responsive resizing, which means that if you're looking at it on a phone or a tablet, it kind of moves everything around, makes it all fit. But there's a lot of information on here. This is what we call a landing page. It's also the reporting page. Got these tabs up here. So we're looking at a period, a the current period, and I'm looking at all of July for this particular customer, which is Greg's Transport. These two fields here get pulled in from our servers, our ABL servers. So essentially, when we set up a customer, we give the tracking unit a name. It's called the display name. Usually it's kind of sized over here, but just because of the screen resolution, and also the registration plate, okay? But there's also more information we need to pull inside FTC Manager to make the claims work. We need to know if it's a lot of heavy vehicles, because the rates change. We also need to know if you've got auxiliary systems connected to the vehicle, which we wire to. And with the ATO, you can either choose to, in auxiliary systems, you can either choose to elect to use safe harbour rates, which is what the ATO say, it's too hard to measure, we'll give you this percentage of your use, and you can claim that, or you can do it measured, which means that we're physically wiring up to it, measuring the time that the auxiliary system is being used. Strangely enough, ATO allows you to chop and change it. So the reason why that's important is that for some vehicles you might actually get more from measured rate, for others you might get more from safe harbour. And so we can swap it around to maximise your claim that way. We've got the fuel transactions coming in here, and I'll show you how you do that through the transactions tab.
Is there a limit to how often you can swap and change, or like?
You do it for every claim basically. Because your claim's done either every month or every quarter.
Yeah.
You just move it around. But essentially you would see these percentages change for, and there's a slider along here which I'll show you in a second, which shows you the auxiliary stuff. So you can move it around and go, well, actually we're going to change it next month. Okay. But usually you'd set it. Trucks don't really vary that much unless the type of work they're doing is changing.
So we just got that seasonal changeover.
Yep.
That sort of doesn't
Sure.
in the mass period.
Yep.
So,
and I've got a similar sort of thing with agriculture, where they've got harvesting versus like. Okay,
that's what we are. Yeah.
Cool. Right. So yeah, we've got truck fuel transactions here. Then we start seeing the percentages of off-road and on-road travel, and I'll explain how we do that. Is we take the data that comes out of the tracking unit is event-based data. We're looking at things like ignition getting turned on, driver logging in, what we call timed updates, which is periodic events where the vehicle's driving down the road. But we also generate second-by-second data. That's as granular as the GPS satellites can give us. Every second, the satellites burst out a radio signal. It's a signature, and our receivers pick it up and go, right, so that's that satellite. Triangulate yourself with at least 3 satellites and work out where you are on the planet. It happens every second. Okay. So our satellites, our receivers pick up that breadcrumb information, and we get things like accuracy information, and we collect it, we send it back to our servers, and we expose it, we run it through this product. And essentially what we're doing is we're taking that second-by-second data and comparing it to a map product that we buy commercially to work out if your vehicle's on or off road. So as soon as you go on a road and drive into a yard, or you go into a gas wellhead site, or you go into a farm, as soon as you come off the road, we end that on-road trip and we say, right, so there's your 14 cents. Now we're going off-road. We'll increase that entitlement to 40 cents. And when you come back on-road, now we're back on-road, change you back to 14 cents. We designate everything as a trip. Even more than that, as soon as you
pick up truck stops.
So we're putting, so that's interesting. We're actually importing all the truck stops into FTC Manager so we can measure that as well. We've got to get the truck stop data, and we've got to draw it all, and that's all happening right now. So, because the truck stops, they're interesting. When you're on a truck stop, you got your ice box running, and that's increasing fuel burn. Yeah, you understand. So, but even more so, when you're idling, what we do is we measure the speed of the GPS signal, and as soon as you stop into a yard, and the driver gets out and he's left the motor running, as soon as it's idling and it's 0 kilometres an hour for longer than 5 seconds, we've got an idle period as well. So we've got on-road, we've got off-road, and we've got idle.
So we can pick up an idle in a red light, though?
Say that again?
Idling in a red light? So obviously stuck in a red light.
Still on the road, still on the road.
Still on the road. So
idling, light vehicles don't allow idling. You can't recover idling for light vehicles.
Trucks?
Yeah, only for trucks. The legislation only allows you to do that for trucks. Okay, so I'm just going to slide the slider across just so you see the other data, and then we'll just jump into the next tab. So when we bring a new customer on board, we set them up inside the user interface, this configuration screen. Basically, as we sign up a customer, we send them out some RFI information. We need to know more about the truck so we can set it all up. We've done this in partnership with a tax specialist company called PPM Tax and Legal. They were the ones that 2.5 years ago approached me and said, look, we're already doing some claims for your customers, and we're using your data, we're using your replay a day and some of your reports but it's hard work, and we think there's probably something better that we can do out in the market, and we think we can do it with you guys. And so that was the start of it. And PPM Tax and Legal have been the people that have helped me understand what legislation is from a tax perspective, and I'm the technology guy that's gone, oh, okay, well, we can do that this way with the technology. So together, we've built a system which is very, very unique. Okay, so these are the fields you see here. You see off-road, idle hours, plus also you see auxiliary hours if we've set it up. So NA means we're using safe harbour rates. Okay, that's the reason why you'd see NA in there. So this is the golden stuff. We're going to choose a vehicle that we've got a reasonable amount of off-road travel. So we'll choose this one here that's got 4.5 or 4.25%. This shows all of the trips. Okay, so you see you start here on road, driving up here around the roundabout over here, and then finishing there. Okay, it's an on-road trip. And if I slide this along, it'll show the distance and then the time spent doing it at the start location and the end location. The trips actually go up like this. So you'd see at the bottom of the page for that period, usually an on-road, or if it's in a yard, an off-road, and then as soon as it gets onto the edge of the road, it goes open off-road. But you see here an on-road trip, that'll end where the off-road starts. And then what he's done is he's gone into a yard here, and he's jumped out of the cab and left the motor running, so there's an idle period here. And then he's driven back onto the road, so there's an off-road trip there, and then he's gone on-road. So we're maximising everything. Everything's contiguous. There's no gaps. The entire time the vehicle's moving, we're either claiming it as on-road, claiming it as off-road, or we've got some idle, we've got some AUX stuff that's happening. And the reason why ATO love this and why they're giving us class rulings for it is this visibility. Okay? You can't dispute it. And ATO see it, they see great. We see the percentages up here. See how much distance you've driven on-road versus off-road. If there's any erroneous data that does happen in here, you can move it out of that and just go save the page. Save buttons down here, in case there is. Or in fact, if it's been badly recorded because the map data hasn't been updated and a road's been changed, you can change it around. You can say, well, actually, that record there should have been an on-road record, and you can alter it. Okay, so we've got all these ways to make sure the data is perfect. But essentially, what happens at this point is if you've got your fuel transactions in for the month, and all the data's been recorded, and we're starting the new month, you just go and make a claim. And we'll go to that in a second, because I'm going to show you how we set it all up. This is where the setup's done, where we set up things like the make, model and year, the fuel type. This is a brand new customer, so we haven't actually got anything in there. All the data in there, the GVM, things like the auxiliary burn rate and the idle burn rate. So to explain the maths behind it, we've got total fuel for a vehicle. Make it really simple. Say we've got 1,000 litres for a vehicle, a truck, that's been bought for a month. And out of that 1,000 litres, we take out the idling fuel, which could be 100 litres, and then we're left with 900. If we haven't got any auxiliary stuff, then out of that 900, we know how much time we spent on-road and off-road as a percentage. So out of that 900, it might be 50% off-road and 50% on-road, that's 45%. We can multiply that by the rate, which is 40 point something cents, and we end you up with a dollar figure, okay? How we get that idling burn rate, or idling consumption, is based on the idle burn rate. And this is either the vehicle manufacturer stats, or if you're taking it in for a service and you plug it into a laptop, and the download from the truck manufacturer shows you what your burn rates are for idling and for your auxiliary. We use that as evidence. But it's basically got to be an approved and agreed rate that ATO are going to accept. And we put that inside there, okay? So I've kind of simplified the maths because it's quite complex, but that's really it. 1,000 litres, we take out the idle stuff, we take out the AUX stuff, we've got the on-road, off-road portion, and we split that out and multiply it. What happens with a report is when you do your BAS rate, BAS claim, for that period, so let's say we're in August, you go, yep, we're going to make a claim now. It shows all of the percentages. So you got your on-road and off-road, and then down the bottom, you've got a dollar figure. And how we got there is simply just putting your fuel transactions in. The easy part about putting the fuel transactions in is if you've got a fuel card supplier, they can provide you that data via CSV file. So all you do is you upload it inside the portal by using the CSV upload. We're only looking for 4 fields. I'll show you what that looks like. Because all we need to know. No. Maybe I don't know. Here we go. So all we need to know is the registration plate, the fuel type, which is one of these applicable fuels. It's not just diesel, number of biofuels and blends as well. The date, and the date just needs to be the date during the BAS period. So you could consolidate all your fuel purchases for each truck and just go, well, in this month, I'll put it on the 15th of the month, and I'll say I put 1,000 litres in there. You don't need to put all the fuel transactions in there, and how many litres was in there. And then we do all the maths in the background. And these are the fuel transactions that have been added in. If you've got situations where a driver's got a fuel card but he goes into a gas station and the gas station has bought that fuel card, you can get a receipt and you can put the receipt in here as well. You just select the vehicle, the fuel type, the date, and how many litres that are in there. Okay? It's nice and easy. The only other thing to show you is this map road adjustments. So it's really hard to see on the screen of the PowerPoint, but you can see this blue shading here. Mm-hmm. Okay, so this is the road network data. We're representing it over Google, but it's actually another road geospatial platform that we buy from a company called Here.com. Here.com was a geospatial company that was sold a couple of years ago to Mercedes, BMW and Audi. They wanted to start building self-driving cars and they needed a geospatial platform, a map platform to be able to do that for self-driving cars. Sold for $3.4 billion, and it's very, very good quality map data. It's the best you can buy for Australia. It's not perfect, but it's as good as you can get. The reason why I say that is what we've done here is this represents a road, and this represents a geo-boundary around every road. So an agreed distance from the centre line of the road, because that's all we've got. We don't have the cadastral boundaries of the edges of the road. We've just got some attributes for the road, saying what the name is and if it's sealed or not. We don't know how wide the road is, but some roads are quite wide. Is from the centre line, we will go down to here until you get to the edge of the blue, until you say you're off road. So how we tighten it up in situations where you've got yards going in and out of all the time is we draw these sorts of geofences, which are basically universal, and they go into FTC Manager, and you can draw them by adding them in here. So that basically means if you're going into this yard all the time, you're driving down here, as soon as you come off the road and hit that edge, that's off road. That just tightens up how much you can claim. But we've got this base layer, so all the data filters through that base layer to try and capture everything else. And we're starting to fill these all in, and things like truck stops will go in there. All of those will be added in there. They're basically added in either by the customer or by us. If they're added in by the customer, they go into a holding pattern. We've got to check them to make sure you're not trying to add all of Queensland as off-road. but essentially, some of them we need to ask the question to ATO. You know, there's quite specific legislation for Northern Territory where Aboriginal communities, the roads are classified as off-road. Okay, so as soon as you go into an Aboriginal community, if you're servicing them in NT, then you can claim that off-road rate. I've sold this just to Fraser Coast Council. They send council vehicles into Fraser Island. As soon as they get on the barge and they're over there, all of the distance is off-road, even though they maintain it, because there's no roads. So that's the sort of geofences we can add in there, and we've got lots of them.
How updated these maps are updated all the time, or whatever?
Well, they're updated.
We're doing building sites in new subdivisions.
Yep. So that's a really interesting question.
On Google Maps, half the roads aren't there.
Yeah. So this is just showing you a representation of the maps using Google, but it's actually using another map data set. But that's a really interesting question about construction, because I'm assuming you're going there when they're constructing, or you're part of the construction project.
Well, we deliver the blocks, so we're second of the jobs.
Okay. Yep. So there's two things about that. Let's say, for example, you're a road remedial company. Okay, so you're doing resurfacing of a road, right? And the road remedial part is this bit here. This bit here turns into a construction site. If you're part of the business that does that work, this isn't a road anymore. Any of the distance you travel around here is part of the work. Is all considered to be construction site. Therefore, it's off road. And same for you going into new construction sites that are building. You're part of the business that's doing it. Those roads aren't released back to local government or the feds until I think a year maintenance after the new construction site or the new subdivisions in place anyway. So that's all off-road anyway. The actual system itself is still leans towards the conservative side, but it's maximising it as much as you can.
So you can say if you were, theoretically, you're running a water truck or delivering aggregate and you're actually resurfacing half the road.
Yep.
Can you literally set a new boundary at the centre line of that road and say, as soon as I turn off the cones and I'm sitting in my water truck waiting, all that waiting time, all that idling time and any PTO time is all off-road use and I can...
Yeah, there's limits to the accuracy of GPS and it's usually around 2.5 metres.
Yeah.
But you're right, you can do that. And the easiest way of doing it is using HD Replay Day and working out where, because we've got a replay tool inside a user interface, go there and work it out and then make sure that when you're drawing it inside here, it actually represents it. But yeah, you can totally do that. Totally. As long as you're part of the business that's doing the work. You can't do it if you're just traversing through it. The thing about these sites is we can have a start date and end date as well. So if you've got a project where you're working on a part of what you should be on road and it's for a couple of weeks, then you can have a start date and any of the work you're doing in there and the end date are all measured within that time period.
So the big road companies, they could load that on, and then us being subcontractors to those.
Yep. This is all universal. All of these are universal. Everybody gets.
You said it goes with a holding pattern sort of thing. It's
Yep.
you verified. So the big company puts in, this road's all being redeveloped. We
Yep.
submit our drawing and all that. So our drawing sort of acts as verification, I guess, of the whole process.
Yeah. So these are either universal for everybody, or if it's things like construction sites, it's pinned back to specific customers that we know are part of that particular project. Because they're basically universal. How that second by second data works, the drip feeds through a series of map data. There's the first one, which is all of this road network through Australia, PMSL road network, and then we drip through these geofences, which are either on-road or off-road, and they're either designated to be universal for everybody to use, or specific customers. If you're doing road remedial, that's kind of the main one, is road remedial stuff, and then there's a time limit between them as well. So that's kind of all I really wanted to show you. The key about FTC Manager is that we wanted to make it as easy as possible to use. The people that use this aren't operational people. Usually the people I'm speaking to are CFOs, business owners, people that basically do the BAS claim, and the pain that they have to go through every month to try and work out what the apportionment is versus what we provide here.
And it caters for us at the moment. They keep changing the rate halfway through a BAS quarter. So
Yep.
This caters for it.
Yep, so we've got a section in here called the Rates Manager. Here's the period. I can change the period, look at the rate changes over that period. It changes just there. I don't know if you saw that, 43 to 45. So it's just changing the 1st of August. So what we do is we measure your rates versus from the fuel transactions, okay?
Yeah.
So if you buy fuel this month, but don't use it to the end of the month, you actually make a claim next month anyway. We use the apportionment rate and the calculations from our maths to work it out. But it's basically, it's pinned back to the date of the purchase, which is the rate in here. Okay? Taking care of it all. So, so I'm just going to jump back to the Prezzo and just finish off, because we'll go through a bit of a case study.
I haven't asked a legal person for a while, but what's the latest on toll roads?
Really good question. I'm not a legal person, but I can tell you what's going on. Linfox and, it was actually Deloitte, but they went together with Linfox again to fight the ATO, and it's just gone to Fed Court and ACT about 2 weeks ago. Probably going to take 18 months to 2 years to fight it out. Reasonably good chance they're going to win. If they win, we've got all the data here, so we can do a retrospective claim for you. Because we've got all of that data that we can just harvest and go, hey, here's another claim.
So what's Linfox saying? That a toll road is not a public road?
Of course, because you're paying to get access to the road. So the thing about private versus public roads is the definition of it. There's a lot of reasons why you've got to fight it out, because people's perceptions are, well, if it's unsealed, that's got to be a private road, but it's not the case. The definition is all based on things like signage, whether the public are legally allowed to go in there, who maintains the road. Things like the Port of Brisbane is a really interesting one, because a private ruling was done on that. When you go to the Port of Brisbane, and I go there all the time because I take my four-wheel drive out of Moreton Island, you can get in there. You go to the gas station, you fill up the fuel, and then you go to go to the ferry and take it off from there. And anybody can go there. But as soon as you hit that bridge, that road network through the Port of Brisbane is maintained by the Port of Brisbane. And so we've got a customer called Scudstrands who did container drops in and out of the Port of Brisbane. They'd never done a tax claim before. The 11 trucks, their retrospective claim was 110,000.
And you get the same deal if you're dumping off at Cairns Airport here, because it's all private owned, isn't it?
Yeah, and same with hospitals. There's a lot of places where there's a lot of potential returns that people are just ignoring. That's the reason why we built it.
I see.
Even delivering to someone's personal home, is that technically then a claim?
Yeah, but yeah, you're only driving into the driveway. So
if you're sitting there idling, right?
yeah, potentially. Yep. You know, it just depends how much you do. Like it's a percentage between the off-road and the on-road. You could be recovering it. I mean, there's cost to run the system, of course, and I'll go through the pricing, but it's that balance. So if you're doing things like Domino's pizza deliveries, maybe not. But you know, if you're actually driving to a big yard, and this is where trucks come in, because they usually get off the road and then they've got to go right around a logistics yard to get in, and they've got to back the truck up, and they're idling, or they're waiting, got demurrage, shifting along to get into their spot. That's where it can come in handy.
Well, that's what we do. We deliver pallets and masonry blocks to job sites. We're off-road for all that time.
There you go.
And
I get
you-
paperwork out for you.
What did you say, sorry?
I get the paperwork out for you.
Yeah.
So here's the case study. This is Roma Transport. They don't mind us talking about it because every time I call Danny, he's just like, woohoo, more money. Awesome. So they got $220,000 back from their 4-year refund. This is a company that when I first talked to them 2.5 years ago and I was doing research around FTC, I said, hey, we've got this tax consultancy firm. I'm thinking about doing this product with them. Can we talk to you about it? Maybe you can meet up with PPM. And they were like, no, mate, we're doing a great job. We're doing the FTC thing. We know what we're doing, blah, blah, blah. It's like, okay. Anyway, so finally they met up with PPM about 6 months ago. And PPM looked at their process and said, right, so even without FTC manager, we can get you back 100,000 based on your process because it's pretty rubbish. They were really stereotypical. They were just doing the 14 cents for road transport, never recovering any of the off-road stuff, never doing any of their apportionment for idling, never doing any of the apportionment for the auxiliary. Okay, very stereotypical. So we got 100,000 back, and then as soon as we got that back, we said, oh, we've finally finished FTC manager. Can we do some field testing and run your data through FTC manager? And we got another 120k back. He's great. Every time I call him, he's like, you got another 20k for me, haven't you, Darren? And ongoing, so apart from the $220,000 he got from ATO before he even started paying us to use FTC Manager, every month he gets $88 per tracking unit per month back as additional benefit. This actually has changed. It's an old slide because we just ran the data through July and it's now bumped up to 126. So it's just money for jam. How we got to there? He's got 39 heavy transport, 25 light vehicles under the transport rate for his big trucks. He's got air conditioned prime movers, ice bucks, tip trucks and trailers and mobile cranes. And a lot of numerous journeys into the gas wellhead site, so this would be an on-road trip for him. As soon as you come off here, you can see all these dots here. This is the wellhead sites in Surat Basin. Fracking area, and he comes down here and he goes up to the wellhead side and he's got to idle for a while. He's taking off, load, and then coming back on here. That's all off-road and then down. Okay, and he was just claiming this at 14 cents, missing out this bit. This is the bit that we can do for him. So his old claim method. Every month he was getting 15k back. He thought that was great. He wasn't doing any of this. We changed it, bumped it up to 18,000. Got an additional benefit of $48 per truck per month. Increases prime mover rate, off-road 4.15%. Tip trucks we could measure at 3.1% as auxiliary. Cranes at 1% and light vehicles, which you never claim for, at 4.36% off-road. Then we ran the data again through FTC Manager and we bumped it up again. Because this here is all done with a little bit of wet finger in the air. It's using our user interface called Director. You basically have to look at replay a day and go, oh, he's off-road here, kind of measure it through Google Earth and then kind of calculate it through how many times you think he's done it and then work out what your fuel burn is. All of that's taken care of with FTC Manager. So it was quite conservative, and then running it through here with a press of a button got him an extra 100k. And it bumped it up from 15 to now 20,000 a month. That's gone up an extra $40, so it was $88, but I told you before it's now up to 126. And this is not unusual. It's a great war story, and we use it a lot. But I just did one for a fuel transport company that's based out of Brisbane. These are the same, 200k, retrospective claim.
Are you sure the ATO like the system?
They love the system.
Really?
Yeah, because of the transparency of it. What was happening before where fuel tax consultancy firms were using this term called fair and reasonable methods to be able to do apportionment. And the thing about fair and reasonable is you can use any method you've got in your arsenal, but if you're a good tax consultant, you can try and, excuse the term, bullshit the numbers and make it work for that business. The problem about that is you run the gauntlet about audit. ATO love this because there's no guesswork. You saw the reporting, you see every single trip. So if the ATO want to audit it, yeah, go ahead. All the data's there. There's nothing to refuse about it, and that's the reason why we've got class rulings for it. They thought it was awesome.
Brilliant.
So, as I said before, the manual process was creating all these geofences. They had interns in the tax office that were just kind of looking through it, trying to massage the data, huge spreadsheets, lots of calculations, a little bit of guesswork to try and get it. FTC manager, we use the single line data, the geotunnels, additional map adjustments, those are the red things. We use geofences. It's very, very precise. That's why you can maximise it. This method is all done by our competitors. We're the only GPS tracking company that's partnered with a tax consultancy firm to provide this sort of technology. And the reason why, like this took me 2 years to build, 10 months of development, of managing the development team to get it. The reason why it's only taken me 10 months is we're leveraging a technology we're already using in New Zealand for road user charge claims. Now that's different because it's based on a fuel tax which is based on distance, so you don't have to try and appropriate it to apportion it to your fuel that's burnt, but we're using the same sort of base layer technology, the centre line geotunnel stuff, and comparing on-road and off-road. So I had a good boost. I had something that I knew was working. We've been using it for 10 years in New Zealand. It's approved by Land Transport New Zealand, and we claim back millions of dollars for our customers in New Zealand. So we just basically ported that over here, and I adjusted it to make it work here. I make it sound simple. There's actually